Hey folks, welcome to the channel. This one is going to be dump shuttles. 3 different jobs that we've been doing over the course of a week or so. First one is a law office that we had to take some stuff out of a break area in the back, and then the second one is a tile job. And a lot of you guys are kind of, got mixed emotions about tile jobs, concrete, brick, things of that nature. But that one's coming up in the second one. The third one is the big one, 2 full loads in a 20 cubic yard trailer in my roll-off dumpster. Now that one was actually probably one of the easier ones, more straightforward, I'll say that. But you'll be able to see that as we talk through it a little bit more in this video. I'm gonna go over a price breakdown at the end of it. So this, right now I'm in the DFW area, so my prices aren't gonna be the same as everybody all over the country. You got different dump fees, you got different labor costs, your gas prices are different. So my prices are gonna be different than a lot of people in different areas of the country. Having that said, those of you from this area in DFW may or may not, have the same price schedule as I do. However, I have done my research, and I welcome any comments of anyone who wants to provide any feedback on some of the pricing that I give for these specific jobs. I'm not the cheap guy, but I'm definitely not the most expensive. I know that. I know with a great degree of certainty what I can charge for a job and still make out. How do I know that? Because I've charged that much for certain jobs and have come out pretty well. Without further ado, enjoy the video. We're going to put you on time lapse into the first one, and then talk about the second one after the first. All right, so we saw that first job where, we were taking out a bunch of partitions and things like that out of the back of the break area over at that law firm here in Fort Worth. The next one has to do with, I'll be honest with you, when I got this picture, the angle of the pile, I saw some tile in there, but it looked more like linoleum and kind of dried up paint and wallpaper and things like that. So the tile extended a little bit further than I expected, but it wasn't a big deal because I knew my trailer could handle it even if it was all tile. So it didn't really hinder me or cost me anything extra to be able to take all that tile. It's just a matter of scooping it up into the wheelbarrow as I did it, as you're going to see on time lapse, and then get it into the trailer. It actually went pretty well. We scooped it up and just brought it into the trailer, just one load after another. We're going to go over a price breakdown after the third job. At the end of the video, we'll go over a price breakdown of how much we charge for each one of those jobs. In the next little clip, you'll see the larger job that was 2 full loads. I'll talk through it a little bit about like what I'm doing and everything in between the time lapses. And again, we're going to go over a price breakdown once everything's done.
All right, so here's what we're working on today. Full house clean out. It's not all completely furnished, but there is a lot of stuff. The garage is probably the room with the most stuff in one room, but each room has a little bit of stuff. Gladly, these things are all in boxes. They'll actually go a little faster than expected. But I'm gonna get time lapses cleaning out each one of these rooms. It's a little precarious parking the old dumpster out here on the main road, but it's not blocking any traffic. We got cones, hazards on, 4-ways on, so be safe as possible. But a lot of the stuff looks kind of like this all throughout the house, and we'll look at the rest of the house here in a little bit. Then I'm gonna put you on time lapse while we get all this stuff out of the garage. Ain't done yet, but it's work in progress. Leaving that paint. Taking some of these other wires and metal stuff. Obviously still need to sweep. Well, all this stuff is full boxes and everything. It's now out of here. And then we'll go up through the tiny troll door. That is a short doorway. I crouch to get in here. Maybe a little dark. This stuff is like full, like little trash. We got it kind of scraped up. This was full of boxes in this corner. They're gone now. A bunch of just little stuff laying around. Believe it or not, we got most of the stuff out of here that was in here before. There's some stuff there. Entertainment center. We're gonna wait for the next load to get this big office desk in here. But we cleared out, I mean, other than like sweeping and picking up little tiny trash, we cleared out all the other rooms to include the closets. I want to get this, we'll go ahead and get this guy right now. And then that'll be pretty much it. Well, besides the backyard. This is why this one was 2 loads and not just one. Got a whole nother bag of fun back here. This stuff should squash down pretty good. You know, you got some couches and chairs over there. You got that office desk. It'll probably reach up to 2 loads. We're full up on our first load already. So this is what we got to take from the backyard, whatever's left in the house. Plus, of course, those refrigerators. I'm thinking it's going to get up to second load, at least. Well, you guys don't have smell-o-vision, but those refrigerators smell horrendous. But we'll show you a couple more time lapses of us getting stuff done, and you can see the load out there where it is, where we got it at so far, right at full. There's a little bit of space up top. We're gonna throw a couple more boxes and stuff on top of there. That's pretty much full.
All right, folks, here we are. I already went to the landfill, and I've already started loading up a little bit more out of this backyard, which I showed you earlier. It's just on the other side of that fence here. So, well, you can see what we got so far. Been working a little slow and methodic just to be able to put as much stuff as I can in there, you know, and crunch it down, you know, and fill in those gaps. Like I said before, I was going to put you on time lapse. This is where we'll show some of the time lapse of like all the little tedious stuff getting done. But I took a few trash bags out of there, out of this area right here, and then back over here behind these refrigerators. That's where the couch and chair and tables that I broke down into smaller pieces were. Folks, as you saw in that time lapse, getting a little bit more done on this backyard. We're here the next day. Obviously, we got a lot done yesterday. A little bit more than I thought that I had anticipated that we were going to get done. Just because of the layout of the house, you know, it's things you got to take into consideration when you're doing these jobs, when you're bidding on them. Not just the amount of stuff that's needs to be removed, but also how you're going to get it through the doorways, where you know, where you're going to take it out through. Things like that. Obviously, if everything's in the backyard and there's no fence or it's on the curb, easy peasy relative to having an old house, which usually has narrow corridors. In this case, as you saw earlier, a little 4-foot doorway. I've never seen that before, but you know, hey, it looks almost more like a basement crawl space door or an attic or something like that. But I also wanted to point out, hey, you saw me picking up the stuff here in the backyard, but I don't know if you know this, but these trash bags, they cost money. Not a whole lot, but whenever I'm doing these jobs, if I can find any kind of container such as this, which was the junk that I'm here to pick up, part of it, you know, anything that I can use, whether it's this or it's another trash bag you see laying around or some other kind of, you know, random, it could be like a bag, empty bag of topsoil. You just use that bag to stuff the trash in. Save on them trash bags, man. Yeah, you get a whole, you go to, you know, your hardware store or wherever you go and get these contractor bags. They come in 24, 42, 50, whatever, 100. And you think, oh, I got a whole bunch. It's not a big deal, but it ends up costing after a while. If you're only using your bags, I'm telling you, use those containers as you find them and just stack them up and just throw them in the back of your bin or truck or whatever you're using. I'm saving these little gems for last. These things are disgusting. I'm gonna spray this thing out with a hose, probably with a mask and some eye protection before I even try to mess with those. Like I was saying earlier, you guys don't have smell-o-vision, but they don't smell too good. We actually don't really have a whole lot. I mean, the video doesn't really do it any justice. I mean, you guys have done these jobs before when you're picking it out. It's not out, I'm not picking it out of the dirt, so that's good. But you know, picking it out of the leaves, but it's actually coming along pretty quickly. I spent like 5 minutes and I already got that half over there done with a trash bag and my little can that I picked up. You saw what it looked like inside. We'll move on the inside as soon as we get these refrigerators out of here, and then we'll finish up packing up. It looks like it's going to be a full 2 loads. I was worried about the landfill closing today a little bit early because, you know, we're kind of over the weekend. Now it's not an issue because I've already went to the dump yesterday. I've already started on the second load, and it looks like it's just going to fill that up all the way. If you guys want to hear, you know, kind of my price breakdown and how I charge here in my area, keeping in mind I'm not anywhere in New England. I'm not in California, so my prices are going to differ from yours. Even if you're in the area, you can. I mean, if you feel like after you hear the price breakdown, if you feel like that, like, hey, I don't think you're charging enough or you're charging too much, sure, that's fine. Go ahead and leave it in the comments. I'm pretty sure, like, my prices aren't really going to change because I've sat down and crunched these numbers, cost plus strategy, where not only am I covering my costs, retaining a little bit at the end of it for, you know, future marketing efforts and things like that, new equipment, but I'm also matching that of the market in my current area here in Dallas-Fort Worth area. So, like I said, if you have any comments about that once you hear the you know, price breakdown of this particular job right here, be sure to go ahead and put those in the comment section, and I do read those. I do answer back. We'll kind of do a breakdown of each one of the jobs you saw in here, so I'm not just like putting time lapses of random jobs. I'm actually like talking about them. This should be like 3 jobs in total. One of them you saw, office law firm. They had a bunch of stuff they needed to get out of the back that some other company had left when they picked up the building. The other one was a job with a bunch of tile in it, and we can kind of talk about that and people's emotional responses to seeing a big pile of tile that they need to take up. And then, of course, this third one was the bigger one, 2 full loads on this one. All right, folks, here we are, getting ready. Just loaded up this second load. Can't really see the top, but it's packed up there. You can see some stuff poking up over the side. We got in this outside part right along this little fence line. There was a bunch of junk, almost like where somebody dumped a whole bunch of trash there. We got most of that out, except for that. I'm gonna pick that one up here in a second. But that's the type of stuff that was over there. Swept out this little mini parking area right here under this awning. Clean up. There's still trash along this little fence line right here as well. You can kind of peek into the backyard where those nasty refrigerators were. We got that cleaned up over there. We had a tiny bit of stuff over here, but we went ahead and picked that up. Right here where all the stuff was laying, all the refrigerator parts, tables, couches, chairs, refrigerators, little outdoor ornaments, and trash that was all in these leaves here is now gone. I just raked them up in a pile so that I could sift through and pick out the garbage. See, I gotta get a little piece right there. Likewise, coming over here, there's like a little scattered stuff here, but it concentrated right over here where all that, you saw it on time lapse where I was getting that up. I did the same technique, kind of raked up the leaves to see if there's any other garbage underneath, and I picked that out of the pile, sifted through it, got that done. We're just wrapping up this job right now. I've already done a kind of a walkthrough, but let's do one last one for you guys. So this room had all kinds of nasty stuff in here. We got it all gone. There's this little outdoor patio thing out there. It didn't hardly have anything in there. And a little short door here with the garage. Turn the light on for you. This had the most stuff in here, and it is all gone. You saw that where we had taken it out from over there. But we got it nice and swept out. That one is done. And then coming up here, sorry I got my finger in the lens. Nice little playroom. Game room, whatever. We only had a couple chairs. We kind of ran a room over a lot of this stuff, but I just had a couple chairs and some random stuff in there.
there was a hole that from right here to the door, all the way to where the end of the wall, halfway out into the room, was boxes, piles of boxes. Then he had boxes all lined up along this wall, some random things over here, a bunch of stuff in here in the kitchen, microwave and furniture type stuff, and stuff that was all in the cabinets. Got it out. I mentioned before about the desk. It is no longer there. It's in the back of the trailer. Got it all done. There wasn't anything in the bathroom. I had some little odds and ends in these bathrooms, or I'm sorry, in these bedrooms. Not too much, but we are calling this one good.
So for that first job, we were working with the law firm. We ended up the end after tax and everything. I'm going to round up or round down. Was $550 is what we charged the customer for that one. On the second one, the tile job, we ended up charging for the tile job $325 for that in total, and we took the tile. It was actually ended up being about I think 3,000 pounds worth of tile. Don't worry, I don't got a single axle trailer. So I got a tandem axle and upgraded to the 8K axles. You know, so I'm pretty confident that plus more household junk on top of it, it hauls it just fine. I know because I did it already, and it's already dumped. Bearing in mind though, along with that, just a little tidbit, that when you're picking up stuff like that with larger weights, like a whole bunch of cinder blocks or heaven forbid rock, I wouldn't suggest dirt, gravel, sand unless you're doing a hauling company or something like that. If you're taking it to the landfill, which I don't know why you'd be taking rock to the landfill, it's kind of a waste. But if you're taking it to the landfill, keep in mind usually it's going to cost more, per, how many tons you have. So when I haul mostly household junk, it's usually about 4,000 pounds what's in the trailer. And the place that I take it, it has a minimum charge of like $100, and it covers 2 tons. So usually I'm right at the 2 ton, unless I'm hauling something extra heavy like more tile or more, bricks or something like that. Then that's going to be more over the 4,000, like sometimes in the 6,000, and at times 8,000-9,000 range. And then it's gonna cost you considerably more. I've had some that were like 240 to dump because I had like a whole bunch of heavy stuff in there. All right, so bearing that in mind, that's why it's when you're bidding, if you're new to this, then pay close attention to that you may, depending on how you want to work it with a customer, you may have to charge by the weight for those types of jobs. Generally, I just charge for however much space it takes up in the dumpster. But as you can see, that doesn't make sense if they're saying I got a whole bunch of rock or a whole bunch of brick. You can't do that because you can't fill your whole trailer up. If you got a 6-foot high walls, you can't do that because you're going to be overloaded before you get halfway full. So just keeping that in mind. The third job, we ended up charging the customer $1,201 for that one for 2 loads. I'll just say they're affiliated with a local church group, and they were trying to get it back on the market, which is kind of my target customer there. Any kind of property manager that's trying to get their properties back on the market as soon as possible, and they don't have the time or resources in order to get that trash out of there in a timely manner. So that's where I step in. Just like always, we're able to get that stuff out of there pretty quick. And it's kind of funny because I do have people that may help out. Like I'll have temporary labor. I've had that before, but usually 90% of the jobs I will be doing it myself. I show up by myself, and they're just like, "Oh, it's just you." And then when it's all said and done, they were like, "Man, you got that out of there fast," But that's just something that you want to take into consideration, whether you want to have employees all the time or if you want to work mainly by yourself. That's up to you. It just depends on how you got your stuff set up. I don't think I mentioned the first job, it probably filled up about 3/4 of the container. The second job probably filled up, it didn't even fill up half of it actually. Maybe between 1/4 and a half a container. And then the third job, obviously you heard 2 full 20 cubic yard loads. I hope this video was informational and helpful to some. If there's anything you'd like to see in the future, leave it in the comment section. As always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like